that is my cue to go ahead and get started. I don't want to take any more time away from the discussion that we will have this afternoon. Thank you guys all for joining us for this Tempo Talks, our October edition, on 4 nonprofit career journeys and resources to increase your impact. We have an all-star panel lined up for you guys, and it's going to be an awesome discussion. So thank you for joining us. Just a few quick welcome remarks and housekeeping items. For those of you who are new to our Tempo Talks, although I'm sure many of you are seasoned attendees, these are held on the first or second Friday of each month from noon to 1 virtually, and they showcase our Tempo member experts. And we are really fortunate to have 400 plus Tempo members to choose from for each of these sessions, and for them to share their stories with you guys and for them to share their career journeys and their expertise with you all. We cover off on a variety of different topics and different timely discussions. So we're really thankful for them for carving out some time in their schedules to speak with us. All attendees are muted and off camera, but we do encourage you to still interact with us through the chat box. We reserve some time at the end of the session for Q&A. So if you have any questions that pop up throughout any point in the session, feel free to drop those in the chat box and we will ask them to our panelists on your behalf at the end. Next, we could not bring you the Tempo Talks each month without the support of BMO Harris Bank. We're so fortunate for them for being a longstanding partner with us on bringing you these monthly discussions. They have been a really awesome advocate and supporter in these topics and just providing a variety of content topics for you all to enjoy. So thank you to BMO Harris Bank. We are so fortunate for your support. And now it is my honor to bring up Sarah Kendall. Sarah is a Tempo member and sits on our programming committee, and she helps put together these monthly calls, and she specifically led the charge in planning and coordinating this month's call. So she is serving as our moderator for this session, and she will introduce our wonderful panelists and then dive right on into the conversation. Sarah.
Thanks, Kelsey, and good afternoon, everybody. This Tempo Talk about personal giving is pretty inspiring and exciting for me, as we and Tempo are all engaged with our communities, and many of us have different charities or causes that are near and dear to our hearts. And today we get to talk with some folks who are taking personal giving one step further by not only giving of their time, talent, and treasure, but they've also made it their vocation. So today we're going to have the opportunity to explore that and learn more about their journeys, their organizations, and how we as individuals, if we choose to, can make an even bigger impact in our community. So I'm going to ask our panelists to introduce themselves, and we're going to start with Carmen with Sojourner Peace. Carmen, could you give us an overview of who you are?
Sure. I've been pondering this question for quite a while, and I was sitting here thinking, I looked at the people who were attending, and I was thinking about leadership, and who I am today is different than who I was 6 months ago, a year ago. And for me, it's about not who I am, but who I'm evolving into. Leadership is about constant evolution, and not always in easy ways. I would say I would describe myself as a fierce human rights advocate who works at the intersection of harm and the need for healing. I'm a believer in human rights and the dignity of all people, and Article 3 of the Declaration of Human Rights, which means that all human beings have the right to live in safety and security. I've worked in this field for 37 years. And I could tell you I have a career full of mistakes, but I've been lucky enough to have a framework for addressing those, looking at those in the good times and the hard times. So that's a little bit about who I am. I've had the privilege of being at Sojourner for going on 21 years of my career, but I've been in the field of working against violence against women and girls for 37.
Wow. That's amazing. Thank you for the work you're doing and for that inspiring intro. Okay, let's talk with Patty next. Patty with Feeding America.
Hi, Patty Hobbick with Feeding America, Eastern Wisconsin, and I've been with the organization for 10 years. That's hard to believe, but much like Carmen said, I am extremely passionate about the work I do. I'm extremely passionate about the organization I work with, but it wasn't a direct line to get here. It really has to do with my love and passion for community and growth. It has to do with making things better as the years go on and we all evolve individually and as community, making sure things are better. So I'm often asked why I'm so passionate about hunger relief. And it's true that I'm a fierce advocate for those in need, but I am also, I say you can pick me up and put me anywhere and I will be equally passionate because this is about making things better. So if you put me in the arts, I will be able to make the biggest case ever on why arts are a basic need. Or if you put me where Carmen's sitting, I will be the hugest advocate because that need for healing and that addressing of harm is so critical. So that's kind of how I got to this space is I like doing systems work and big change. And so I'm working in a systems organization, but I think what's really important for me most is that we keep moving forward as a community. We bring people together around whatever the issue is, and we keep making things better together. And that's the area I'm most passionate about.
Awesome. That's excellent. Thank you. And Tina, tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here and really grateful to be asked to be among panelists that are I'm really honored to be among the panelists that are here tonight or today. And I really also, as Carmen and Patty talked about, just why am I here? And it really is because of my passion for building up young women and girls in the community, and my interest in truly their health and wellness. And I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life for so many years. And 10 years ago, this kind of opportunity fell into my lap, and I couldn't be more grateful for not only the work that we're able to do in the community, but for meeting all of the amazing people that are doing their work that are here today. So Girls on the Run of Southeastern Wisconsin, I'm the executive director, been with the organization for going into my 10th year. I have 3 kids. I live in Fox Point. My kids are all in college right now. And I am on my first year of empty nesting.
Good for you. Excellent. Welcome. Thank you, Tina. And Gina, share a little bit about who you are.
Sure, thank you so much. Hope everyone can hear me. I'm going to try to project as much as I can. Thanks for having me here today. And wow, don't be envious of me following all those introductions. That's amazing. I'm our Vice President of Resource Development at United Way of Greater Milwaukee and Waukesha County. So that means I have the privilege of working with our annual co-chairs each year and setting the strategy and the goal for our annual campaign. I have been at United Way for 15 years. Personally, I'm a wife and a mom, but I consider myself a connector. So many, many years ago, I started a group when I moved back to Milwaukee, which is how I met Jen Dirks, who I think is on this call, called Six in the City. We were connecting new people in Milwaukee to other new people in Milwaukee, and it was a fun way to get to know people in the city again. But now I'm a connector of people and their passions and their philanthropic wants and needs to organizations that are doing amazing work across our community. So that is who I am.
Yeah, I like how you described it as a connector. It's so important and in so many ways, particularly for the United Way. Thank you. Well, I'm delighted and humbled with this group that we've been able to gather today. So we wanted to start with an overview of the organizations that you serve and learn a little bit about your organization and how others might engage. So if you could give us a quick overview and then tell us more about the issues that your organizations serve and the stakeholders, the locations, the services overview, that would be great. And Gina, let's start with you and the United Way.
Sure. Thanks, Sarah. So oftentimes when people think about United Way, they think of us as a pass-through organization. So you make a gift to United Way, or you use United Way as a way to give to other organizations, which is, true, but we do provide donors a convenient way to impact hundreds of nonprofits across our community who are doing great work, but we're also more than that, right? So we're really producing significant and measurable results in all three areas that we impact: health, education, financial stability. We bring together different people, groups, and community leaders and members to really take on our largest community-wide issues, like ending family homelessness by 2023, which is one of our goals, reducing barriers to employment and advancement. We recently launched a community diaper bank right in our offices in Milwaukee and Waukesha County. So we're not only providing a way for people to make an impact financially, but we're really making an impact in our community in several ways.
That's awesome. Thank you. And Patty, let's talk about Feeding America. What's your mission? A little bit about the organization.
Well, our mission is really simple to remember. It's to solve hunger. And that's probably one of the questions I get the most is people ask, do I really truly believe we can solve hunger? And I will tell you that we have all the parts and pieces to solve hunger. We just need to pull them all together and get them aligned in the right way and have the will of the community to want to solve hunger. We have enough food. There are enough willing people to connect all those dots. And so that's what I consider my job. Our organization, Feeding America Eastern Wisconsin, is we were founded by the Rotary Club in Milwaukee way back in 1982. So we're 40 years old, almost. And initially when we were really founded as somewhat of a co-op model where the pantries could all come together. And when they had needs that were similar or collective, they can address it together, whether that was purchasing food at a lower cost, whether that was bringing in donated product and dividing it up equitably. And that was a great original mission for food banking. But much like everything else, things evolve over time and the needs change over time. So what a food bank is now is more of a hunger resource or a hunger solution center, where the needs of the pantries and the meal programs and the emergency shelters that serve people in need, those are who I work mainly through. We work with about 400 different food pantries and other programs. And collectively, we serve about 500,000 people in need in Eastern Wisconsin. An enormous mission, and it was larger during the pandemic. Thankfully, it's coming down. But what we're doing together is providing that food, but we're looking at things now differently. We're looking at nutritional value. So often you're going to hear terms coming out of Feeding America Eastern Wisconsin or pantry systems that now talk about not just food insufficiency, but nutrition insufficiency, because calories aren't the same. Providing somebody with junk food is not solving hunger. And so we look at things like nutrition. We look at things like food equity. How do we move food around to where it needs to go? Because systems have been set up in place where some people in need don't have the same access as other people. So how do we address food equity issues? We work to strengthen the Hunger Relief Network to connect those dots. So we do more things together and efficiency and lined up together instead of duplication. And we always welcome everyone to come around the table, anyone who has a passion or interest to help us really strengthen the Hunger Relief Network so that we can actually eradicate it. It's kind of a little counterintuitive, but we're definitely transforming in how we meet needs. We are not a food in, food out organization, but we're so much more in depth. We do some regranting. We help our pantries access things like trucks or refrigeration or purchasing. We've been stepping in quite a bit when pantries have been struggling, especially during the pandemic. One of my staff members right now is acting interim executive director at a large pantry that couldn't afford to go down, but needed help to stay open. And so we shared staffing or shared a grant writer. We're really looking at that advancing of the equity and inclusion and diversity, of course, but more through unity, kind of the unity of community. And then an area that we've been spending a lot of time particularly is driving that meaningful policy and outreach. So I don't believe we can solve hunger unless we really get engaged and get our communities engaged in that advocacy and outreach and policy change. So
Great.
I would think what you're finding from all of us is that all organizations that you see on the surface are much more complex when you look a little deeper.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Many systems that you're connecting in organizations. So I think connection is a reoccurring theme here too. Thanks, Patty. And Carmen, share a little bit about Sojourner Peace House, please.
I knew I would have to follow Patty. Great overview. Our mission is to transform lives impacted by domestic violence. We're in our 46th year, heading towards our 50 years in 2025. We're the largest service provider for survivors of domestic violence in the state of Wisconsin. Prior to COVID, we were serving a little over 12,000 individuals and had about 91,000 contacts. Under COVID, we've come in at about 10,000, which is of great concern to us. We know that what we see, family violence, domestic violence is a private act. Most of what we think we know is just the tip of the iceberg. So we believe there are literally thousands of survivors who don't feel safe or comfortable to come forward. So we know that to be true. We provide crisis housing, hotline services, 24-hour hotline, systems advocacy, and individual support. And we also facilitate the Family Peace Center here on the corner of 6th and Walnut. We're one of 8 programs here in the city. There's a number of 7 other programs that have a culturally specific approach to this issue. For us, the Family Peace Center is about the realization that no single entity is going to solve this problem on their own. We have 14 co-located partners in the facility. And I can tell you most days, I feel like it's barely enough. The clients we serve are at or below poverty. They're food insecure, housing insecure, don't have their basic needs met. Many of them have a lifetime of hurt and harm that is embedded in their nervous system and their biology, in their lives. And so they're living out this legacy. And we try to help open doors to well-being by giving them choices around how they choose to deal with that. You asked me to talk a little bit about the societal issues. Number one, I think we live in a day and an age where violence is normalized. We're beyond living in a sea of violence. We see it all the time. Just last night, looking at the news this morning, there were 9 people who were shot in a short span of time. So violence is normalized. And we believe it's because we don't have a deep appreciation of children's exposure to violence and the generational impact of hurt and harm and how that lives out in people's lives. There's also an intersection of misogyny, racism, classism that intersects, which is, the hatred of brown and Black people, the hatred of poor people, and the hatred of women that combines at an intersection and creates toxicity where violence is actually supported and upheld. So those are some of the larger societal issues. And as I say those, Sojourner's not going to address those on our own. We need partners. We need everyone thinking and helping with this issue in every corner of our community.
So true. So true. Important work. Thank you. Appreciate that, Carmen. And Tina, I know your organization has, there's a lot of overlap, right? And how you can help. So I'll let you share a bit about Girls on the Run.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we address the issues of working towards building strong, confident, and healthy girls to help them deal with many of the issues that life can throw out at them and the challenges. And so really our program focuses on girls that are in 3rd through 8th grade. It's a positive youth development program. In fact, one of the top positive youth development programs for girls across the nation. We really focus on not only teaching these girls about taking care of their bodies, but it's also about taking care of their mental health. It's also about how to support themselves with friends and other support systems to keep themselves healthy and moving forward. So we have an amazing program that is offered, like I said, across the nation, but our chapter serves southeastern Wisconsin. So we serve 7 counties. We have about 2,200 girls in the program, and about 50% of them are in Milwaukee County. The program, like I said, is for all girls, for all diversities, for all diverse abilities. Um, and but like I said, about 50% of the girls are in Milwaukee County. About 50% of the girls we serve, their families are unable to pay for the program. So that's lots of fundraising that we do to make that happen so that they can participate. The program itself, we offer a program in the fall season, and we offer it in the spring season, really based on the school calendar year. It's a 10-week program. The girls meet twice a week after school. We have all volunteers that are trained on the program, and then meet with the girls. They're amazing mentors. They facilitate the lessons. The girls are in the judgment-free zones where they are learning about themselves, learning about supporting each other, and they're training for a 5K. So
Amazing.
at the end of the program, all our teams gather together and they run, walk, or skip across a celebratory finish line. And
That's
yes, they have their running buddies with them, who's often a family member, family friend. So they're feeling good about themselves too. And it really is a super inspiring program. So we offer fall season, spring season, and then we're starting up a summer camp program this year, which we're really excited about.
That's awesome. Incredible. And I can say my 4th grader came home with a little flyer about Girls on the Run. So I was like, I know her. It's pretty exciting. All right. Well, let's, Gina, the United Way acts as an umbrella organization to not only many of these important causes we've talked about, but many of the causes that our Tempo members are also involved in. So it's pretty exciting to see those connections that you're able to make. Can you talk a little bit about how United Way helps these and other agencies in southeastern Wisconsin?
Sure. So there's a few different ways. So, when I think about what does the average person in Milwaukee know about, how not the nonprofit sector. So we are versed in what's happening in the nonprofit sector and what agencies are doing what, and most people probably have heard of the largest nonprofit, or our largest nonprofit partners in Milwaukee. So Boys and Girls Club, Red Cross, some of these really large agencies, which are doing amazing work, right? They're so vital to our community. But there are lots of smaller agencies who are also vital to our community. The work that they're doing is just so important. And, like Carmen said, they can't do it alone. We all have to do it together. So there's all these great agencies out there. So United Way provides that way for these smaller agencies to get that they might have the bandwidth to do fundraising, to do other things that they need to do. We could take that off their plate for our partner agencies. And really during our campaign, we're promoting and talking about all this great work that's happening. One donation to United Way helps, like I said before, hundreds of agencies to do this work. You may also not know, like, how do I invest? Where do I invest? Where does that happen? How does that work? I want to give my money to Patty and to Carmen and to Tina and to everyone else. So you can, through United Way, make one investment and know that you're impacting so many smaller agencies. I talked before about how we're also a community convener. So we've got the experts on our team who are really looking at the problems of our community on a macro level. And they're bringing together our partner agencies who are working in those same spaces. So they're not working in, on one problem or one issue in a silo, but we can bring them together to work on a community-wide issue and set community-wide goals. I mentioned our ending family homelessness by 2023. We've proven that model worked with our teen pregnancy prevention work. So that was more than 15 years ago. We set that goal to reduce teen pregnancy. I think that was by 46% by 2015. We're now at a reduction of 65% as we sit here today, which is just amazing. And that's just by bringing community leaders and our nonprofit partners together to tackle this issue together and break down those silos and really set community-wide goals. So
that's awesome. I mean, talk about making an impact, the community impact, part of one of the Tempo pillars. That's incredible. Wow. And to see that coming towards homelessness it's exciting too. So let's shift a little bit and pivot. So I think the stories you've told about your organizations and the impact they're having in our communities is incredible and such important work. And Carmen, thank you for saying you would be happy to share your story as we pivot and talk a little bit about your journey. How did you come to this place? And for many of our Tempo members, they may be supporting a cause that they're passionately supporting, or that might be through volunteering, sharing some of their talent and time. Some people make that pivot from volunteering to vocation. How did you come to this place where this is not just something that you support as a hobby, as volunteer work on the side, but it's your job? That's a big shift. Tell us your journey of how you came to be in this place. Was there a moment?
I was just saying, I wasn't laying in my bed as a kid thinking I want to be a nonprofit leader someday. I didn't even know there was such a thing as nonprofit organizations. In the small town that I come from, which is cut off Louisiana, there wasn't really much of anything in terms of systems or intervention. And I come from a family that, struggled with violence. All of the women that I knew as a child were victims of violence. And the men in my family were causing harm, but were good people. So I grew up in this contradictory place of hurt and harm, and struggled with that for quite a bit. But I was lucky enough, and I haven't talked about this a lot earlier in my life, but I was lucky enough to get into recovery when I was 22, and have been sober for 37 years. And it really gave me a different way to frame my life. Nobody else in my family had the opportunity for a framework for living outside of what had been happening generationally. So that was one fundamental thing. I came to Milwaukee to access treatment. You had the best treatment center in the country at the time, DePaul Hospital. I was there, and then, I got a job as a nursing assistant and worked my way up, had many great opportunities. So if you ask me how I got here, I would say people who helped me on my best day, people who helped me on my worst day. There are some people who will see you make mistakes and struggle, but they won't, they won't invest in you or help you or stand by you. I was always fortunate enough to have people who said to me, I won't let you fail. I will invest in your success. And, I did volunteering. I was on the board of directors for the Wisconsin Association for Children of Alcoholics. I was a founding member. I took advantage of opportunities, and I just had one chance after another because people helped me. And also people spoke the truth and said, you're not ready, don't apply for that job, go get more experience, and gave me the right advice. So mentors, if you look at the ACEs, I have a score of 9. There's no reason I should be sitting in this chair. I should be a statistic. I don't have my doctorate, I don't have my master's. The generation before me could not read and write. But as I said, I had people who taught me, held on to me really, and said, I will not let you fail. And that's the only reason why I'm here. Really good people invested in me. what you can do in your organization. Time, talent, treasure for sure. But I can guarantee you, someone who's been touched by violence, violence against women in particular. Someone who's been hurt, someone who's hurting others. And so I would say educate yourself, pay attention to the people in your life, intervene if needed, be a safe person, and then look around your life for opportunities for your church, your workplace, your professional organizations, your neighborhood organizations, to give the message to survivors that they're not alone. It's not their fault, and we're here to help them as a society. So
That's
a
so
craft.
powerful.
Yeah.
That's powerful. And thank you for sharing your journey, and also how we can be active today in helping people feel safe and find a way out. And I hope, as I listen to you talk about how you came through your struggles and how people wouldn't let you fail and helped you not only on your worst days, but also on your best days, I think about, okay, how can I be that as a leader? And that's pretty inspiring for me to hear your story. So thank you, Carmen. That's awesome. Congratulations on the impact you're making in our community. So we're going to go to Gina next. Can you talk a little bit about your journey?
Sure. I'm following Carmen or these amazing women. I don't have that.
It's a tough crowd, right?
Yeah.
Everyone has an amazing story.
I don't have that outstanding journey. My journey is definitely different. I also didn't think, I'm gonna fundraise for a nonprofit in Milwaukee. I mean, we're working in nonprofit. That's what I'm gonna do. It's not what you think about when you're young. I actually had a bunch of different journeys to land me where I am. But I actually moved back to Milwaukee quite some time ago, and I decided I was going to be a lawyer, which is what brought me back here. I was going to go to law school, and so I took a job working for Midwest Airlines, working with their legal team. And that was right before they made their announcement that they were going to sell the airline. And so the year before that, I should say, my boss at the time was tasked to run our internal United Way campaign, which means I was voluntold that I would be running the internal United Way campaign. And so I had to figure out, what does that mean? What's United Way? What do they do? I've got to ask everyone at this entire airline to give money to this organization. So I did my research, right? And I loved everything that I had learned about United Way. And we ran an amazing campaign. I'll tell you, our campaign went up 40% that year, right? And I still wouldn't say like, I found my calling. But then when United Way, I found my attachment to United Way and what United Way did in the community. We've been around more than 100 years, and there's a reason why someone once said, if United Way didn't exist, someone would have to create it, right? And when the airline decided to close, they happened to be hiring an account manager at our local United Way to manage the campaigns at the area, law firms, accounting firms, financial managers. I was hired by Linda McFerrin, who ended up being my boss for the next 14 years, which is amazing. I learned so much from her. And here I am in my role now. I just love it. I love our organization. I love what we do. I love my team and our, the people that we get to work with, and the individuals in the community who I can see every day how much they care and they want to make an impact. And it's what keeps me here at our organization.
Awesome. Thank you, Gina. And Tina, share with us how you came to be in this place.
Wow. First of all, I think I'm still reeling from Carmen's story, and I just really want to applaud you, Carmen, for doing all that you've done to get where you're at. It's pretty amazing. And my journey also, I feel like I have just been so blessed and grateful for the life that I've had. And for me too, it's been all about the people that have been with me since day one. It started with my parents. My mom and my dad were my biggest cheerleaders, and I've been an athlete my entire life. I started in gymnastics when I was 4 years old, and I took it all the way through college. I was a collegiate gymnast. My coaches I had nothing but positive experiences with my coaches. My teammates were my people. They were my support. The lessons that I learned as an athlete of, learning about, going to practices every day, understanding what it meant to train, how it showed, you put the effort in, you see the improvement, setting goals for myself. All of those really important lessons that I learned during my career as a gymnast have helped me in so many areas of my life. It gave me so much confidence to be able to get up and talk in front of a crowd, because you are the one that's out there when you're performing. And so it's helped me in my career goals. I didn't know all of the time and effort that I put in would come out to help me in my career, but it has. And truly, most importantly, it's been like the lessons I learned about movement, keeping your body moving helps with so much in other areas of your life. Over the pandemic, I was grateful to have running. It could have been walking, it could have been some other movement, but it gave me the ways to really release anxieties and stress, and we're teaching our girls that with Girls on the Run. It's not about running, it's about moving, and it's about taking care of yourself. And so my journey, really just again, like, I had no clue that end up working for a nonprofit. And once the doors opened to the world of nonprofits and like all the amazing work that is being done in the community, I just really am grateful every day for all the great people out there and the good work that's being done. And it's a puzzle. I mean, we need to put together all the pieces and the collaborators and work together to just help others. So yeah, I think that's been my journey, and it's the people and everybody working together.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so cool. All these journeys are so inspiring and frankly humbling. Thank you each for sharing your stories with us. Maybe some in our audience are reflecting on the causes that they're passionate about. Maybe someone wants to make a pivot and switch from volunteering to vocation, and certainly that's had positive impacts in each of your lives. So I think at this point, let's turn a little bit to talk about how people could get involved. Short of making this your profession, let's talk a little bit about how people can share their time, talent, or treasure, whether you choose to do that with one of these organizations or whatever one it is that's near and dear to your heart. Gina, many of our members' organizations are served through the United Way umbrella and network of services. Can you talk a little bit about the different ways that people can get involved and how the United Way connects volunteers to organizations? Because I think that's kind of the magic. How do I find the right thing for me and what I'm trying to accomplish?
Sure. So as I said before, we're right in the middle of our annual United Way campaign. So I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask everyone to make a financial contribution first.
Put a plug in.
Yes. So that, my boss might be like, what did you do on that panel? You didn't even ask. So first and foremost, a financial contribution is welcome at any time, but particularly during our United Way campaign. But Sarah, you're right. There's lots of other ways that people get involved. My suggestion is finding what it is that you're most passionate about, right? So you're going to get the most reward for volunteering or working with an organization whose mission is aligned with your own personal mission and wants and needs, right? So, and there's lots of ways that you can get involved. So I talked about giving to the United Way campaign, but there's when you can also volunteer if your workplace is running a campaign. You can help them. You can help them, do fun team building activities with your own team or at the workplace. Jane Thoma is a member of Tempo as well from our United Way, and she manages our volunteer engagement team. She can help you and your team, or you and a group of friends, put together a volunteer activity with any of our partner agencies, or we have a Get Connected site where you can really volunteer with any agency in our 4-county footprint as well. Planning a fun workplace campaign, like I said, helping with that, volunteerism, it could be as simple as hosting a diaper drive that we talked about. Now we have our community diaper bank, or we have a program called Tequity where people, your organization can donate old technology that they're not using. So many of our agency partners could use technology that they can't afford, that maybe a large corporation says, they use it for 2 years and they get the newest, freshest, laptops. I hope you can hear me because we don't have the newest, freshest laptops that United Way.
You're all good.
You could also give back of your time by serving on a nonprofit board. That's another great way to get involved. If you've been personally thinking about serving on a nonprofit board, United Way has a program called Project Lead. It's specifically designed to lift up underrepresentation populations on boards, like women. It's a 7-week training program. It's taught by community leaders who are currently on boards. I see Annie put in the chat for us how to find out information on Project Lead. Annie, who's also a Tempo Emerging Leader, amazing member of my team. But at the end of that 7-week program, there's also it's almost like a speed dating for participants with nonprofit agencies who are looking for board members and recent graduates of this program. So it's a great way to get an introduction
for this audience. Absolutely.
Right.
Thank you for that one.
Yeah.
Well, one of the other things that we had talked about when we were planning for this conversation, folks were looking for ways that they could volunteer with their kids. And in particular, it's that trade-off. Like, I want to do more in my community, but I have kids and I have to choose, do I do the volunteering, or I have to get a babysitter, or choose between my family and that? And that you said that there's ways to find volunteer activities that you can do with your family. And not only are you it's a win-win. You don't have to make that choice. You also can be helping to develop that next generation of leaders and modeling the types of engagement and supporting our community. Tell folks how, if that's important to them, how they can connect in that space.
Yeah. So prior to COVID, our volunteer team had put together some great weekend activities, some really successful volunteer opportunities, family philanthropy programs. And our hope is we get back there at some point where we can do that. In the meantime, there's other ways that kids can get involved. We are going to have our holiday giving tree that's happening this winter, and you can get your family involved. You could pick up some cards for families who are looking for gifts for their kids, and have your kids help pick out gifts, right, for the holiday giving tree. We recently did a flashcard program, which unfortunately it's already full, but fortunately it's full. We'll be able to distribute 12,000 sets of reading and math flashcards to local students in our community. So we'll always have opportunities like that. We have an emerging readers program where you can get kids involved to help pick books for other kids in need who don't have a home library. But if you go on our website now, under volunteerism, there's a link that's specifically youth and family volunteer opportunities that are not specifically perhaps that we're running right now at United Way, but our agency partners and other program partners are also putting on. So that's right on our website as well.
Yeah, I went and checked it out and found it was helpful because you could just add filters for the types of volunteer opportunities that I was looking for. So it's a really nice resource for folks to plug into. Awesome. Okay, so let's just I'm checking the time here, see how we're moving along. I think it would be really cool if, Jeannie, do you want to talk about the Get Connected? Or did you cover that one yet?
Sure, I think it's pretty covered. I mean, Get Connected is our volunteerism website. So
okay, that's
agency partners can put opportunities there. And then as a volunteer, you can go in and use the filters you talked about to narrow it down to a type of program.
Perfect. Great. So in addition to the United Way, one of the things that folks as Tempo members should consider is that you also can be promoting the nonprofits that you're supporting, and you can do that in the Tempo quarterly newsletter. And if you go on the Tempo website, you can find some more information about that. And then on the flip side, when you read the Tempo quarterly newsletter, you can look into different nonprofits and causes that your fellow Tempo members are interested in, and you can engage in that space as well. So at this point, we're going to do a pause, and we'd love to hear from you in our audience. Share with us in the chat, what are those causes and organizations that you're interested in and have been supporting? And this is a fun way for folks to be inspired about different organizations in the community. So we'll take a moment here and give you a chance to put some stuff into the chat. Annie, you're so funny. Okay, I'm done. Thank you for sharing those links. It's nice to be able to just click and not have to go searching for that information. All righty. Okay, well, while that chat fills up, we're going to move on, and we'll give each of our panelists opportunity to talk about specific ways that folks can engage and support your organizations. And we'll start with Patty and Feeding America. You had shared that there's some cool projects that folks can do even in their workplace.
Yes, thank you. I just want to underline something that Gina said. I think it's really important. And that is one of the first things to do is really think about what moves your heart and then go in that direction, because I'm always grateful. In fact, I'll tell the quick story of, I had a gentleman who wanted to be on my board very, very badly. He was a donor and wanted to be on my board, and I wouldn't let him be on my board, even though I wanted him. He was a great donor, but we weren't his cause. And I knew that. It was really important that he worked in the cause that moved his heart, which was veterans services. He still was our donor, but he got involved in veteran services, and we've reconnected, and now we have a whole veterans program. So just think really about what moves your heart and go there, because there's so many different places in need. And I know Gina also mentioned that a lot of the smaller nonprofits really do need your attention. And there's lists of that either through ours website, other websites, or certainly United Way keeps a great list of that. Getting involved, we always say it's simple: food, funds, and friends. And food is obviously, you can do virtual food drives, you can do drop off food, you can do physical food drives, although that we're discouraging that during pandemic. Funds is obvious, and I'll take Gina's cue and say donations are always important, and this is the opportunity to say, keep Feeding America Eastern Wisconsin in mind, or your favorite pantries. But friends is where it gets really interesting, that it doesn't encompass volunteerism, much like Gina talked about, and you can just extrapolate that. Everything she said is applicable to us or to others, that there's all kinds of fun programs to get involved in. But also get a little creative too. Think of the ways that the ideas you have, what knowledge or skills do you have that you want to offer to an organization in a different way. So if you have an idea that's been burning in your heart, you don't have to quit your job and work in a nonprofit to make it happen. You can contribute in a number of different ways. Pick up the phone and call the volunteer coordinator or somebody at the organization and just say, I have this idea, and let them help think through. And does it fit? No, but pieces might fit, or we might be able to go somewhere else, or maybe it fits beautifully. So know that what you have to offer as a friend of any organization is far beyond just the, volunteering physically for a certain amount of time, but your ability to think, your expertise that you're able to offer, your contributions that you can make from a skills-based perspective. All of those are important, and you need to kind of sometimes offer that, because they might not fit directly with what's out there on a piece of paper, because we might not have known to ask for somebody who is, an expert in websites, or we do actually ask for that. But and then if you know of creativity, if you're good at technology, you can help us think through how might we be able to do something that we might not even know we need. So food, funds, and friends for us are big things, friends being the very broad one. And I ask that you really just search your heart to know what it is that moves your heart, and then volunteer in that space at whatever nonprofit that is. We love to have you, but I also love to see you out in community at a number of different places.
That's awesome. Thanks, Patty. Okay, so Tina, share how folks can get involved and support Girls on the Run.
Yeah, so I echo Patty's comments about how finding your passion, and that is, I'll tell you, our volunteers are so passionate about this program. I am always like blown away by the amount of time and energy they put towards the organization. We have our coaches are our bread and butter of our program, of our volunteers. That is a big give back. So it's a requirement of a 1 to 2 days, or 1 to 2 days commitment for about a 90 minutes for the 10-week program in the fall or spring or summer. And then but then we have board opportunities. We have Done in a Day, where it's basically you come to our 5K. We have over 150 volunteers that are at the 5K. They may be cheering on the girls. They may be working registration. They may be prepping, food area. And that's a great place for you to bring your families too. We love it when you can bring your son or daughter, and again, like, the more energy out on the course to help get these kids to the finish line, the better. So we love that so much. The other thing that I just wanted to mention is that our program, if you have a girl in the 3rd through 8th grade range, sign her up for the program. We teach our girls about making an impact in the community and volunteering. And there's a community impact piece that's written right into the curriculum. So the girls plan it and they implement it during the program. So that's a pretty cool area where we're teaching the girls about making an impact.
That's awesome. Thank you, Tina. And Carmen, how can folks get engaged and support Sojourner Peace?
Well, I agree with the ways that have been mentioned by Patty and Tina. Serve on a board, give money, donate your time. I totally agree with Patty about follow your heart. There's a quote by Parker Palmer that says, before you tell your life what you're going to do with it, listen to what your life wants to do with you. And that's all about following your heart. And I would say, don't do anything that you're not passionate about, whether it's work, personal, or volunteer time. So, we are always looking for donations, time, talent, treasure. More importantly, I would say, read the Declaration of Human Rights. Eleanor Roosevelt was the first chair, and she had a quote that said, you can search around the world in vain and never find human rights if you cannot find it in your own backyard. If you cannot find safety, security in your own neighborhood, on your own street, in your own job, you'll never find it anywhere. So get familiar with that framework. Understand that this issue is prevalent. It's more prevalent than we want to believe. Dr. Edith Eger said recently, there's no hierarchy to pain. We're all broken in some way. We all need help. And so familiarize yourself with these ideas, these concepts, and be part of spreading the information that you have the right to live in freedom and dignity. And there are people who will help you. So that's in addition to all the other things. Yes, make a donation, volunteer, go to an event, do an event, Done in a Day, those kinds of things.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Great quotes as well. It's nice to hear some of our leaders from many generations ago understanding the significance of these issues and how to really lead with your heart and know who you are and have that as your driving force. That's pretty powerful. Well, thank you to everybody. I'll do a quick check-in with Kelsey. Do we have any Q&A to address from the group?
Yeah, 2 questions to close out, and whoever wants to speak to any of these. First, recognizing the last year and a half and the continued pandemic that we're living in, just what were some, being leaders of these organizations, leadership lessons, maybe one that stood out most in the last year? Patty, I see you unmuted, so maybe you can speak to this one.
I practice this one all the time. I think one of the things that you can do as emerging leaders, because I saw that was the other question, but also as leaders in general, is to really get good with pivots, get good with being able to be confident in your abilities, know your boundaries and your limitations, but also be really good at pivoting, and especially as women, to be able to put yourself out there to say, I might not know, but you probably just don't know that you know, and then be confident with your decisions. When I don't know how to run a food bank in a pandemic, if somebody would have asked me if I could do it, I would say yes, but I don't know how to do it. But I can do it just because I'm confident in my abilities and I know my limitations. I know how to ask for help. I know who to lean on for self-help and support. So I would say that from my perspective, it's really know yourself as a leader. Where are your gaps? Where are your skill sets? And be confident, live into that, develop that confidence and that ability to make pivots, because the rest of your career will be pivots. Pandemic just happened to be a bigger one.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. And Patty touched on it a little bit, but I will open it up to our other panelists too. Our second question, what is one piece of advice you would give emerging professionals on the benefit of nonprofit opportunities?
I mean, for me, I think it just adds this entirely new element to your whole being. It brings your soul getting involved in the nonprofit world. And again, if you can find your passion and just carve out some time to put towards it, it's only going to make your life better.
I'd also just quickly add that I think getting involved with nonprofits is, if that's not going to be your chosen vocation, but as a volunteer, it's a great way to also network and meet people like-minded people like you. And if you're all young leaders doing this together, and we have a great program called Links, specifically for young leaders to get together and do hands-on volunteerism, see the work that United Way is doing, and they do like a fun networking happy hour afterward to get to know each other. Now you've gotten your hands in the work. You found out like what United Way and these other great nonprofits are doing, and you're meeting other people like you who are also coming up in their careers. And that's just going to help you later on in your career. Like, oh, we did this great fun thing together. We're passionate about these same things. So it's a great way to take advantage in that way too.
Great point. Thank you. And oh, go ahead, Carmen. Sorry.
I would say that it really needs to be an issue that you have passion about, because nonprofit work is going to pull, you're never going to have enough money. The issues are going to be always too big. The need to pivot is constant. So I would say, it really will require, like for me, I've always said I would do this work for free because I care about it so much. And so that's, I think, if you can find that place for yourself where you're just lit on fire with passion, it'll help you in the nonprofit arena, because nonprofits get diminished, I think, in our culture for all the things that we do. And it's an enduring piece if you can have that passion to stay with you as you're in it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, each one of you, Carmen, Patty, Tina, Gina, and Kelsey, for your help pulling this conversation together. It's pretty amazing to hear your stories and the impact that you're making on our community. And for that, I'm so grateful. It's inspiring, and the work you do is so very important. And hopefully some of the folks that joined us today are also inspired and found new ways that they can engage with their communities and live as us Tempo members do, with making an impact to our community. So I appreciate that. And Kelsey, I'll turn it over to you to wrap us up.
Awesome. Thank you. Yes, I echo Sarah's comments, and thank you to our incredible panelists for sharing your stories, for carving out this time, and just for the incredible work you're doing in our community. We are so fortunate to have you as Tempo members, so thank you. For those on the call, just some quick Tempo upcoming events to share with you guys. October is a packed month for Tempo, so we hope to see you guys again. Tuesday, October 12th, we have our Women's Affinity Alliance quarterly program, which will be held virtually over the lunch hour. We invite any Tempo members, emerging women leaders, or guests to join us for that. Then Tempo Real Talks is returning after taking the summer off with the microaggression game, which is another virtual program the evening of Tuesday, October 19th. That is open to Tempo and EWL members. And then we close out the month with our October program meeting, offered both in person or virtual. So depending on your availability or comfort level, we invite you to join us at the ICC if you're able, or virtually for a candid conversation with Julia Taylor. So really looking forward to that one on Thursday, October 21st. Registration is open on the Tempo website and in your Monday message. And then last but certainly not least, a plug for our upcoming leadership event on November 12th. We are so excited to be welcoming Allison Felix as our featured speaker. This will be a lunch hour event at the Wisconsin Center in person. Registration is now open and you do not want to miss this conversation. So I encourage you all to check out our website for all of our upcoming events and to register and make sure those are on your calendar. Thank you guys again for joining us. I hope you guys have an awesome weekend. Thank you to our panelists and Sarah for this awesome conversation. Thank you. Bye-bye.